Welcome everyone to another Observability Lab. In these days, everyone can become a creator. Everybody can build apps thanks to all of the AI coding agents, and that is also true for building apps on top of the Dynatrace platform. And Dani, thank you so much for being here. You came to me and said, hey Andy, I built an app, something on top of Dynatrace to extend the way you look at data, you analyze data, you interact with data, and you wanted to show it to me. So what I would like to ask you, Dani, please show me, what have you built? And then also walk me through, what does somebody that wants to build something themselves, how do you get started, some tips and tricks on how you build some of these components here.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, so I wanted to build something that goes a little bit beyond a dashboard. So I came up with this app that allows admins of the EasyTrade application to look up for suspicious trades. And this is the overview page. You can see an overview of the deposits, withdrawals, and suspicious trades in total. You have a lookup where you can input the user email and find the trades of that user. And also you have a connection to dashboards that belong to EasyTrade application, and you can navigate to them by clicking on them. You can see more data and metrics about EasyTrade. But going back to the application, you can search for a user, for example, this one, Alex Reed. If we search for it, we can see a data table of all the trades that Alex Reed did on the last 13 days. And you can see it divided by deposit, withdraw, and suspicious events. You can play around the table, sort it out, change the columns, and you can click on any of the rows and see more details about this trade, the transaction time. You can also check the location of where it happens. This connects to an external open source API to get the coordinates from the country and the city. So you can paint it on a map of the Strato design system from Dynatrace. And you have a feature also that allows to ban this user if you think that it did suspicious trades. You can confirm the ban, and you get this disabled state for the user in here. And potentially this would connect to an external API to ban the user on the EasyTrade application directly.
Cool. So if I can recap, obviously this works on data that is ingested in Dynatrace, whether it's logs, metrics, traces. For you, I think this is a lot of logs and BIS events and some real user data. And you have shown us that we can put some of this data on dashboards, but sometimes you want to have your own domain knowledge, your own particular use case. You want to make certain things easier. And this is why it's so great now that we can build those apps and we can build them so much easier. So now, can you go into showing me how does somebody get started, and how would you get from the bare minimum of an app to something like this?
Exactly. It's based on BIS events, mostly, this application. And thanks to the app engine of Dynatrace, we can easily connect to the APIs from the platform services. We have in TypeScript SDKs, intents to navigate between components, and we can get started really easily. We just need two applications. We need the Visual Code Studio, and we can also use Cursor or Windsurf or any other code editor that we would like. And we also need Node.js, currently version 24, but in the future maybe you need a newer version for it. So I already have this installed, but installing it on any operating system, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, it's easy. You have already links here on the guide. And what we will do is first run this command, which allows us to create the scaffolding of our app so we can get started with it.
Cool. Then I'll put ourselves into the big screen so that we have a
I
little
will
bit
stop
more space.
my current application and from an empty state, I will use the DT app, which is the app toolkit for Dynatrace to create platform applications. And this will download some dependencies and create all the source files that are needed to get started on app development. We just need to choose a name, which can be suspicious traits, suspicious, and the environment URL, which will be the same as the one I'm using right now, which is demo apps.
And obviously, this would be the tenant that our users would have their own tenant, or even if somebody is trying this out on the trial, this could be a trial tenant, whatever tenant you have.
Exactly. There it is. So we can go to the folder that it created. So here we have all the source files. We can open Visual Studio Code, which is the code editor I do have, our application, and all the scaffolding of the app to get started is already here.
Can you zoom in just a little bit?
Sure.
That would be great. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. We have our package.json, app config, TypeScript files, and you might be wondering, but I'm not an expert in TypeScript, neither React, so what can I do? So thanks to AI, you can actually start coding without having lots of knowledge in these technologies. We have the agents.markdown file, which helps AI agents to know all the invisible logic that doesn't appear in your app and allows them to create better code and better results. This already comes out of the box when you create the app now. And also here we can see a pop-up that it shows to install recommend Dynatrace Apps as recommended extension. So we are gonna install it. We go to the marketplace of Visual Studio Code. We install this app, and in a moment it's been installed, and we can see this new button in here in the left that once we sign in to Dynatrace SSO, we can see several commands like start development server, build app, deploy app, configure app, update dependencies, generate app function, and you can potentially debug app functions and work from the UI instead of the terminal. So here, let's run this application from the terminal because I'm a terminal guy.
So this would just be the same as it offers in Visual Studio. You could also start it from there, but in the end, it's basically just building and running the app locally and then opening up your Dynatrace tenant. So that means in the local development mode, you run the app locally so that you can also debug it locally. You can make local code changes, and the difference would be once you're done and then you really deploy it, the app would then actually run on the Dynatrace platform, meaning other people can also use it. In this state, when you develop, it's just for you because you're doing local development. Yeah, cool.
Exactly. So this is what we get for out of the box. We get this main page with some links and also another page on exploring data where we can see a chart here. But we are not interested on this. What we can do is we get back to the code and we can start by using the chat, the Copilot chat with the model Claude Opus 4.6. And we can start writing some prompts to try to get the result that we showed in the beginning on the demo. So what we want to build is an application to check for suspicious easy trade users. So let's tell that to the agent. I want to build an application to check for suspicious easy trade users. Let's get more details. The app should let you search each user by email, as we saw, and get from these events their deposit and withdraw on the last 30 days. We can start by putting a fixed time frame, and then we can iterate over it by being able to modify the time frame. So it's also important to not try to overwhelm the app with all the features at once, and be little by little, so we can iterate on errors. Let's say that trades over $1,000 should be labeled as suspicious. And also, I'm not interested on these two pages on that you have on the scaffolding, this thing and this thing. So I will I will tell the AI to get rid of it. Get rid of current home and explore data pages.
Wow. And that's it, huh? Just be obviously specific enough. And I guess now we let the AI do its thing.
Yeah. So, well, the result is non-deterministic, so we won't get exactly the same, but we can iterate over it. We could even potentially send screenshots of what the outcome we would like it to be. So,
cool. And maybe one quick thing. So you've started with a clean application that already contains the agents.md file. That means that already gives instructions to whatever agent you're using. The second thing is you also, I think the Dynatrace Apps Visual Studio extension also comes with an MCP server on its own. I think we see some of those tools now, the DQL search, the Strato search. So it comes with a baked-in MCP server that makes it easier for the AI now to build a UI to interact and create Dynatrace Query Language, DQL, that actually makes sense because it also leverages the MCP server that comes with it. So it's really, we have an AI agent that is now trained to really leverage all the best practices to build a Dynatrace app. And that's the cool thing about it, right?
exactly. We have the MCP server that was the main reason to install the Dynatrace app extension. So now the AI agents can use these tools to connect to Dynatrace API. So as we can see, we are using the DQL search tool to find the proper DQL code to fetch the these events. We are using the Strato search and Strato get component tools to also find the proper React component from Strato to display the data. And all this information, you can get it from the wiki page as well. There's a guide for AI for app development. And here also explains how it works, how to start coding, all the tools that are available. We talk about DQL search, Strato search. There are also experience standards for best practices. We also have SDK search for connecting to the platform services.
Cool.
And also what I told you about the agents.markdown file. And you can potentially use the Dynatrace MCP server as well to verify that the metrics are run properly. So there are two MCP servers, the Dynatrace Apps and the Dynatrace MCP server. And the second one allows you to connect to your environment and verify and inspect the queries directly.
That's cool. So just to recap that I understand this, if you want to build an app, you're installing the Visual Studio extension for Dynatrace Apps. That extension allows you what you see here to start your local development server, adding new app functions. Folks, we already have a video on that if you want to know how to get started with this. What's new now, that Dynatrace Apps Visual Studio extension also comes with its own MCP server to make sure that your agents that you're using better understand Strato, can create better DQL queries, understand our best practices for coding apps. And then on top of that, you can also install the regular Dynatrace MCP server. Why would that be interesting? If your agent, because you said you want to have withdrawals and deposits from BIS events, so that means the agent needs to craft DQL queries, and it then can use the Dynatrace MCP server to also validate if the data that is queried actually makes sense, if data comes back and things like that. Yeah, exactly. It says it all here. Yeah, perfect.
Exactly.
Cool.
So as we can see, the AI is currently working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It explored the code base. It updated the app config. It built the suspicious traits search page. Added on the routing, also updated the header, and now is removing the old home and data pages, which is the last step. We can see already he modified some files. And also, okay, now it's requesting me to approve. I will bypass all approvals to be faster now. And let's see what it changed in the app config. Okay, it added some scopes. So we will need to restart the application, because every time we modify the app config JSON, we need to restart it for the changes to apply. This only applies for changes on app config JSON. The rest of the TypeScript files, you don't need to restart the server for the changes to be applied.
And this is just for the people that are listening into this. The app config file basically specifies what type of privileges the app needs and the user of the app. And because the default app that we are shipping only, I think, looks at logs. And now you said, well, I also want to read BIS events. So that means you can really specify on the app what type of data and what type of privileges does the app need in order to run. And obviously, if this changes, we need to restart it. Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
All right, then I would say we wait until it's done.
Okay, seems it's all done.
Cool.
Let's restart the server, because app config was changed, and see if it worked.
Let's keep the fingers crossed if the AI is doing what it's supposed to do, what we paid for.
Yeah. If not, we will iterate over it to find a solution. There it is.
There we go. Cool.
Suspicious trait checker. Search for easy trait users by email. Let's see. We search for this guy. And yeah, it worked.
That is impressive.
Yeah, we have still some styling things to polish, but the main functionality of what we requested is there.
But basically, you have an app that really looks and feels like a Dynatrace app because it uses the Strato components. You have a customizable search. You have a nice table output with pagination, with the right columns, even with labels, status, normal, suspicious, and based on your description. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Cool. So let's iterate over it. So we want now to polish it a bit. So add some paddings in the row cells, and also make the data table interactive, so we can sort each column. And I would like some tabs on top of the table to filter by deposit, withdraw, and suspicious traits. let's keep the changes so we see the difference on this new output.
It's always fun to watch other people do work.
Good, done.
Cool. That was
Let's
fast.
see. Yeah, this time it had to change less things. So let's see what it did. Go to the user, and there it is. Okay, we have these tabs where we are filtering by deposit, withdrawals, and suspicious activities. And we also can now sort the data table.
Cool. It's amazing that just by your simple prompts, it knew that you also wanted to have the total. I mean, the total number makes a lot of sense, right? On the tabs, even on the number, on the heading, you see deposits 796, withdrawals 204. It's really, really impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So let's continue. Now we would like to make the rows interactive. So once we click on it, it shows the detail view. And we can do something like, so when a trade row is clicked, open a detail view panel on the right side that takes half of the screen and shows an overview of the transaction. For example, timestamp, card type, client info like browser, OS, etc. Let's keep the changes from before. And wait.
Yep.
Done as well. See?
Cool.
Click.
Wow.
And there it is. It took the whole screen, but it actually has the details we requested. Some of them are empty, so maybe it's not getting the proper property from the visiband, but we have some things already. So yeah, it worked.
Hey, Dani, one quick question. That means you don't have to recompile anything. It automatically gets all of the code changes reflected because in the background you run your local development server, correct?
Exactly. Here it's recompiling automatically unless you change the app config JSON, then you need to restart the
Okay.
local development server.
Cool. Just wanted to clarify that I know what's going on here. Good.
Yeah. So now maybe we can specify that it seems that the browser, what else did we got here? City, country, browser. Seems that the browser, city, and country are empty. Maybe you are using the wrong fields. They should be defined. Maybe you're using the wrong fields.
And that's also now great because it actually says it's using the DQL documentation. So now it's reaching out to the MCP server and say, hey, help me find. Yeah, it's really cool. It's perfect.
Seems like it's not finding those fields. Let's check again.
There's an address that it now has, yeah? The last line.
Address.
It's
Okay.
there. Wow.
Yeah.
So it figured out a way how to get this information after all by just evaluating and looking at other data that is available.
Yeah. So let's apply one more feature. So we are missing on the home screen, getting the total trades. So let's say, so before an email is searched, show an overview with 3 tiles, show displaying the total of deposits, withdraw, and suspicious trades. Done. Let's check. There it is. Seems that no data is displayed. So probably the DQL query is wrong.
You know what? Let me ask you for adding a feature now, because I would be. I mean, it's really impressive. I think we all get how you can get to exactly where you are. But can we? I would like to add a button on the homepage that shows me the DQL query behind the total deposits.
Okay. Button. Done. So yeah, it seems like it's using code editor component from Strato, which makes totally sense. And yeah, thanks to our design system, the AI is not having a hard time building all this stuff, and he doesn't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, and there's the show query button.
There's the
There
show
we
query
go.
button,
Let's see.
and
Here we
doesn't
go.
work. Reading language. Let's see. We can
Maybe read. Yeah, let's see.
we can copy this stack trace to the.
Oh yeah, that's good. Let's also do some troubleshooting.
Let me take a look meanwhile at the code. Yeah, it seems like TypeScript is complaining, so probably this attribute is not the proper one for the code editor, and has been renamed or.
Yeah. So that means there's at least good news that the humans are still good for something, for then troubleshooting, while the AI is trying to fix its own problems. No, but I mean, overall, what you've just shown me is extremely impressive, because you didn't have to touch a single line of code. Everything was prompted clearly. This is obviously where, if you spend a little bit more time, you can fix all of the little things and also add some of the other things you showed us in the very beginning, like you had the world map in there. But I mean, we've only spent 20 minutes or so now, and we already have an app that is functional and that provides value. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are not an expert, but you would like to get one step beyond a dashboard, you can try it out and build your own custom app.
Exactly, and I think this goes true for everything in kind of like AI coding now, or AI engineering. Here we go. Now we got it. Yeah, perfect. That's really cool. So the interesting thing for me is what I just wanted to say. This is a super amazing way for everyone that wants to build something to build it, even though it might not be perfect, but you can validate a use case, see it as an MVP, and then even if you're not a software engineer, right, you can now prove a certain use case, get feedback very easily, and then just with a couple of, you know, additional fixes, you can definitely make this also production ready. So really, really impressive. Dani, I would say you have impressed me. You have shown me what's possible, but you also showed me that we need to have you back, because I think it would be great to do maybe a follow-up on this and show some additional tips and tricks. So I would really love to see in a follow-up session, I don't know, maybe how you really get some of these more fancy display things like a map. I'm sure some other graphs. You also had in your initial demo that you showed me on the homepage, the links to different dashboards that are already available. So maybe we can do this in a second session.
For sure, yeah. I would love to.
Awesome.
Thank you
Cool.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, any final words that you have? Any words of encouragement? Any words of where you said this is what gets you most excited, or what you would like people to know before they get started?
Yeah, don't get scared because maybe you need to install some applications you don't have. Maybe that you are not a developer expert and just like an administrator of Dynatrace. You can get started with app development thanks to AI agents now.
Yeah, cool. And folks, check out the links in the description of the video. We will put all the links that Dani, you had opened, the app engine, the documentation, the first step in 5 minutes, AI for, we will put all the links in the description of the video. There's also, we had videos in the past where we also walked through creating an app, running it locally, and then deploying it. Because right now what we've seen is running a local app. That means the app is only available for the developer in their local environment. But there's a step where you can then package it up and deploy it to your Dynatrace tenant so that everyone in your organization has access to it. But these are then advanced steps that we will get to next time. Thank you.